everybody, 'tis the amazing gaming guy here, and welcome back to my build of Mainstreet in Planet Coaster. Yes, here we are, on Mainstreet, ready to build. And I thought this week I would build something a little bigger than last time. If you remember last week, we built the small sort of green corner building that goes next to this little pond here. And this week I decided to build something much bigger, much grander. So I've decided to make sort of, what should we call it? We've already built a town hall. It's not a town hall, it's like, I don't know, it could be a big like library or even a museum or something. It is very large building in terms of the buildings I've built so far on Main Street, and it's very ornate, very grand. Yeah, so let's get right into it, shall we? So the central building will have it'll have two floors. It'll have a first floor or a ground floor on which you have to go up some stairs to get to this. You have to go up like the small stairs. It's slightly raised, 3 or 4 stairs, and then you're on the ground floor. And then within the building, obviously, I'm not actually going to make this, but there would be a staircase and stuff, and there will be a second floor. But there's no like balcony or anything between the first and second floors, but there is a sort of roof canopy that comes over, but that goes over both the first and second floors. You'll see what I mean when I do it, but you can see that I've built those pillars already, and just imagine that the roof is going to go on top of those pillars over both the first and second floors. So the colour scheme I'm going for on this one, I thought I would return to using some bricks rather than the green wood that I was using last time, and I've gone for sort of red bricks, classic red bricks, and some cream, slightly cream. It's more just slightly sort of tinted white. A very, very light cream for the secondary colour. So that's for the pillars and the fences and window frames, and any other details that I put in are likely to be this sort of slightly, we'll call it an off-white. They're going to be a slightly off-white colour. So in addition to the 2 floors and the roof covering both of them, there will also be a nice big square tower in the middle, because if you'll remember, a couple of episodes ago we did a whole bunch of research into this style, and what was it called? It was called a New Empire or something. I can't believe I've forgotten that already. I have my notes right here. Can you hear them? Can you hear my notes? Let's flick back, shall we, until we can find. Here we go. Architecture, Second Empire. That's what it's called. Not New Empire, Second Empire. So this is part of the American Second Empire style. There you go. See, just to prove that I'm doing my work and my research is the sound of my notes. If you couldn't actually hear that on the mic, if it didn't pick it up, then this is just going to sound really weird, this bit. But yeah, I'm going to assume that you did hear that. So I'm going to have a big square tower in the middle, and that's going to go up past the top roof height and continue into a slightly peaked roof, but also quite square. You'll see what I mean when we get there. But just to start off, I've been putting in the windows, putting in the window details. I've built these sort of double height 2-floor spanning window things. So there's a big large window on the bottom with a little window box and some details around the outside of it, and then above that we have the second floor window with a little balcony, and that's just made using the new fences of, well, they're not that new. They're in the newest update, so I'm going to keep calling them new until another update comes out. The new fences and a window box, and as you've seen me make these sorts of windows loads of times now, but It's just the window with like a door frame put around it to add more detail. So yeah, moving on to the building of the square tower, you can see that I've just done this on a second building layer. If you know what I mean. Yeah, the first one was one building, one separate building, building a second building now, so that I can just slightly offset this tower a bit, and also it gives me control, so I can go back later and go into the advanced move mode and just polish off exactly where that tower is. If I want to bring it out a little bit or push it back a little bit, I have that the ability to do that. So I thought I'd talk a little bit more about the other things that I'm going to be doing on this episode, because I'm not just building this building, I'm also going to be doing some landscaping. A little bit later on, I'm going to be putting in some new fences. I'm going to be putting in some patches of flowers and things as well, and plants and foliage, just trying to really seal off this area, get it kind of as complete as I possibly can, just so it looks really nice, really cool. Yeah, so you can really see this building coming together now. That's pretty much all of the frontage done. I think I'm gonna go around and do a little bit more detail. Yep, here we go, onto the pillars. Just going to round them off a little bit with some I'm not sure what you call them, like little curved corner pieces on top, just to I think a Instagram window just flashed up. I'll cut that out, don't worry about that. Right guys, so another thing that I asked you guys last time, I asked for some suggestions on what ride I can build in this area, and you guys came up with some. Indy Weasley says a dark ride with a historical theme. I think that's a really cool idea, and I'm going to have a real brainstorm about that, see if I can find a way to make a historically themed dark ride. I was thinking about it, and what I'd really like to do with that is have some actual like audio that plays as you go around, like a Hall of Presidents thing or something, something American, or history of the Constitution, that sort of thing, just make it really, really sort of history of America sort of thing, because I think that really suits the Mainstreet USA sort of theme. But I thought that might be a little bit difficult because you can't put in custom triggered audio, which is what I would initially want to do to make that work. So I'm going to have a think about it, see if there's any other way I can do it. Chris W says a classic mine train, or just a train around Main Street. Again, really good idea. I love that idea. I'm just going to have a think about it as well, see if there's any way that I can implement that. And Christian Cantrell says a vintage cars track ride. Again, really good idea, and because all of these are kind of track ride ideas, I think I can basically just mold all of these into one, or maybe not the train one, but yeah, I can try and mold these into one and make a singular track ride using the vintage cars with a historical theme, and there's sort of a dark ride section and stuff. I've got it all sort of bashing about in my brain, and I'm sure I'll be able to make something of it at some point. So yeah, back into the build, you can see that I'm moving on to building the sort of tower piece on the square tower, and I had some trouble with this to start with, and I remember distinctly thinking at this point in the build, this exact point, oh, this isn't gonna work. I was really doubting myself at this point. I was thinking, this is not looking good, it's not gonna work. But I stuck with it, and I think it's gonna turn out okay. With these sorts of builds, you've really just got to have some sticking power, because things are gonna look stupid while you're making them, and chances are, if you stick with it for long enough and you just keep going, adding detail, refining it, changing it, you'll actually find that it will turn into something that you really like in the end. And that's kind of how this tower's turned out with turned out for me, because I really wasn't sure about it while I was making it, and I hope that you'll agree with me by the end that it looks pretty good actually. It's kind of come out and worked, you know. It's kind of worked quite well. Yeah, I mean, even looking at it now, I'm still not entirely sure. But when you see it in the whole context of Mainstreet, I'm pretty confident that it does work. Let me know what you think about it. I was a little bit worried that it looked a little bit just sort of thrown on the top of the tower. But I'm not sure. I think it does work. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. You probably disagree, but hey ho. Yeah, so I thought I would just finish this bit off by using some of these stucco sort of wall trims to hide the little gap where the roof doesn't quite meet the top of the building, because I've got the overhang, and then I try to make like a little dormer roof that comes out, but yeah, it was a bit tricky, this one as well, because I had to go into lots of different building spaces and stuff, and I had to go back and push the wall a little further back in as well, and then that gave me the problem that the wood trim on the peak part of the roof was there, and there wasn't any anywhere else, and it looked a bit weird. So yeah, had to go through and change things and refine things quite a lot just to cover up these sort of incongrualities. That's not a word. Incongruities, abnormality. I don't know. There was a word somewhere that meant what I wanted it to mean. Whatever. So yeah, and I did this little radial pattern again. Again, I have to credit that to the lady designer. She showed me that little pattern, and it looks really cool, and I've copied it so many times now, so thank you to her. And yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit more depth to this, so I brought out a bit of brick trim and put that around this space, and then I was pretty much happy with it, and I just put in very slight amount more detail using these little stucco pillar bases, just to add a little bit more something to that sort of feature area there. And then I went around the back and just raised the roof, sorry, not the roof, raised the roof, no, I raised the back wall a little bit more, because I realised it didn't quite meet in the back there, and if you looked upwards from down the bottom, you would see that slight gap, and I had to get rid of that. And then I just put a little bit more detail around the windows using these little wall trim pieces. Again, it's a little stucco wall trim. I really love the stucco stuff. It works so well for Mainstreet. Yeah, really, really good. Like that sort of material set. And then I finished this off with just by putting in some little points brought out from the wall, from which I could hang some baskets and things, just again to add a little bit more depth and a little bit more detail, and to make it look really nice and really cool. And this is the final thing I think I did on it. Just went around the side and put in some trimming around the bottom, just to really finish it off, make it look cool. And onto my favourite bit, lighting. I went around and I tried to put some lighting on the inside of the roof, and I had to really turn down the sort of colour and brightness of it a little bit, so that it didn't stick out like a sore thumb. I think it looks okay, although I think it might have gone a bit too dark, so I'm going to have to raise that up a little bit, but we'll see what happens. And I just wanted to finish this video by going around and making some slight adjustments to the pathing arrangements, and also putting in some new rocks and trees and foliage and fences, just to cover up the gaps in the path where I've tried to make this a really organic looking path. A quick word on the future of this series. There's going to be another episode next week, where that I recorded in the most recent little batch of recording that I did. And then after that, I might be changing this series quite significantly. I'll be if I do this change, I'll be keeping all of the buildings I've already made and all of the structures, but I will be completely changing the path arrangement and actually putting it in a new park. We'll see if that happens, but it was an effort to make it look much more like an actual Disney Main Street, and I didn't have the space in this park to do that. So if there's a really sudden change very soon, a couple of episodes down the line, that's why. And of course I'll talk about it more at the time. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this, please give it a like, comment and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye!